Hello and welcome to Warcraft Daily for today, the 26th of September 2013. So in today's news we have PvP Conquest and the issues that have surrounded that the last while and the fixes the Blizzard have, some stuff on Connected Realms, and finally a very interesting bit of talk from the Blues about player churn, player numbers and that kind of thing. So first of all, let's jump into the PvP issue. So there's been a lot of stuff going on with PvP and Conquest caps. Now, normally the way things work is that the Conquest cap is calculated at the start of the week. There's this catch-up system, so if you missed a few weeks, you can still get some Conquest, so people aren't completely screwed over, which is quite nice. Now, the issue is this actually happened early for some people, which resulted in them having an entire season's worth of catch-up Conquest to buy gear with. So, pretty much some people were just able to run a crap ton of different things and get ridiculous amounts of Grievous, I think it's Grievous Conquest, something like that. Basically, they're able to get way too much gear for them, the amount of sort of time that had passed since the patch. So to deal with this, what Blizzard have done is they've made the Grievous weapons have a required item of, or required level of 91. The achievement vendors are now gone until this is fixed, and the correct caps have also been fixed. They're also going to remove any of those ill-gained items from players, starting with the most extreme cases. Definitely a pretty shit start to Season 14, I've got to say that. Which is sort of a bit of a pity. It's the first season that's had a lot of changes. You know, there's been a lot of background changes of PvP that came in 5.3, a few ones in 5.4, and this is just the first season that starts with all those changes from the beginning, so it would have been nice if it could have just had a smooth launch, I guess, but unfortunately it just wasn't to be. So, yeah, really sucks. Maybe in a week, when they have all this gear removed, PvP will be a little bit more balanced because of gear. Now, let's talk about Connected Realms. So they successfully connected Boulderfist and Bloodscalp. There's a few different bugs, but there doesn't actually seem to be any consequences. Or not consequences, there doesn't seem to be much crippling bugs or problems. It's just things like the guild message of the day isn't working for some people, stuff like that. And this is really quite great actually, because you know, if they had have put this on, turn on Connected Realms, and it just crippling bugs everywhere, then it really would have hindered the system being implemented and rolled out further. But since this seems to be so successful, at least smooth-ish as a launch, it just says good things for the rate at which they'll be able to continue doing this. Honestly, I'd like to see as many realms as possible. When I say as many realms as possible, I mean as many low-pop realms as possible being connected, because it really does improve everyone's play experience. I mean, even the realm I'm on, which is Shadowsong, normal realm, pretty decent alliance population, I'd still like to see it with more people. It's kind of funny, I still miss the days of, say, Wrath of the Lich King, where, like, literally everywhere was packed. Dalaran was extremely packed, and I think there's something about Dalaran where its layout felt more like a city than, say, the Vale does. I know, I'm not actually a big fan of the Vale cities, but anyway. Yeah, it's great. More population means more people, means easier to make guilds, easier to make an arena team, stuff like that. It encourages the social play that MMOs are really built on, so makes the game much better for those people. I know it probably sucks for like the one or two guys who've got the auction house completely cornered on a small realm, but the needs of the many outweigh the few, as a certain Spock once said. Now, third thing in the news, they were talking about churn. This is actually pretty cool. So they were just talking about like the rate at which people leave the game and join, that kind of thing, and they were saying that they've always had a lot of churn just because it's an MMO, and I think especially because there is really a bit of a brick wall when it comes into leveling. Most of WoW's new content and fun is leveling. It's not leveling, wow, that was silly, is the endgame. So leveling is definitely a brick wall, and that has historically always been a massive source of people leaving the game. So yeah, they said that during the Burning Crusade they found that things like alts and like questing and leveling and things like that, they were actually still novel enough to keep people in the game. And I would definitely think that the questing in the Burning Crusade was a lot better than that in vanilla. Some of the stuff in vanilla dragged on, it was a little bit ridiculous. Burning Crusade was definitely a step in the right direction. Now in Wrath of the Lich King, they said that things like achievements and the difficulty of raids like ICC 10 and Naxx 25 were enough to provide content to a lot of people and therefore reduce churn, and that pretty much Flex and LFR are meant to fill that void. And I think, yeah, I mean, it does seem to work. Right now, I think what they're really missing is a good tool for making a Flex raid. And when I say tool, I don't mean a queue, I think that would be awful. But if you take something like Open Raid, Open Raid is great because people can connect with each other, they can set up groups with a pretty decent amount of organization, you know, look at each other's characters and stuff like that. It's a little bit better than just spamming and trade chat. Now, of course, the backside is, the kind of like downside, whatever, is that if people aren't sort of, spamming invites and stuff in the like trade chat of their main server, then it could kind of do away with server kind of community a little bit. That said, that's already so small at the minute. Still, I think it would be nice to foster that. So how they actually deal with that would be interesting. Though they did definitely say that they wanted to have an in-game version of Open Raid, which I just think would be great. And even I remember it used to be, it wasn't a queue, but you could at least register yourself as being interested in something. The old Dungeon Finder tool, before it was like the automatic queue thing that we have today, I think you hit I or you hit some button and it appeared, and you had a list of all the different dungeons, and you could just sort of click on it and then it added you to that list. So then when people wanted to make a dungeon group, they'd go to that list and they'd see what players wanted to do it. I think that'd be great for Flex. Maybe like a cross-realm sort of version of that. The reason I say cross-realm is because honestly there probably wouldn't be enough people to reliably get Flex groups on your main server, but well, you never know. Actually, it might work, especially with Connected Realms bringing the populations of many servers up. It could be interesting. Still, I think that how they deal with getting Flex into players' hands in a way that's more than just the Friends and Family Guild, making it puggable, perhaps presenting people with enough information in-game so that they're able to at least kind of understand the fight and play competently. Things like that will really just contribute to Flex being a more good and sort of popular initiative. And I think that the success and long-term like sort of churn rate of WoW is directly tied to Flex rating, because LFR burns people out. Normal can burn people out if normal's too hard for them, so Flex is right there in the middle, and a lot of people are caught in between those two difficulty levels. So yeah, I think, Mists of Pandaria, not been perfect, but it's a great step forward, especially in terms of reducing that churn. So anyway, that's it for me, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you next time.